The courtroom in Moscow felt like a frozen wasteland, even though it was early spring and the last patches of snow still clung to the sidewalks outside. I sat on the hard wooden bench, my hands trembling in my lap, clutching the worn edges of my coat. Elena Petrova, that was my name now, though it had once been Elena Ivanova before I took his. Dmitri, my husband of 15 years, or soon-to-be ex-husband. The air smelled of old paper, stale coffee, and the faint metallic tang of despair that seemed to seep from the walls of every government building in Russia. My heart pounded so loudly I was sure the bailiff could hear it. Dmitri sat across the aisle, his broad shoulders relaxed, a smug smile playing on his lips as he whispered something to his lawyer. He looked every bit the successful businessman he had become. Tailored suit, polished shoes, the gold watch I had given him on our 10th anniversary still gleaming on his wrist. How dare he wear it here? I looked away, focusing instead on the portrait of President Putin hanging on the far wall, his stern gaze a silent judge in this farce. I had come prepared for battle, but not for the knife he was about to twist. The judge, a stern woman in her 50s named Judge Volkov, entered, and the room fell silent. Case number 4782, Petrova versus Petrov, she announced, her voice clipped and efficient, like the winter winds off the Moskva River. Divorce proceedings. Let us begin. My lawyer, a quiet man named Sergei Kuznetsov, whom I had scraped together money to hire, stood and presented our side. He spoke of irreconcilable differences, of emotional neglect, of the way our marriage had crumbled under the weight of Dmitri's ambition. I kept my eyes down, remembering the girl I had been when we met. It was at Moscow State University, back in 2008. I was 18, fresh from a small village outside Yaroslavl, with dreams of studying literature and becoming a teacher. The city was a whirlwind of lights and opportunity, the metro stations echoing with the rush of students and workers. Dmitri was 20, studying economics, with a laugh that could fill a room and eyes like summer skies over Lake Baikal. We met at a student gathering near the Kremlin walls. He spilled hot tea on my coat by accident, and instead of apologizing profusely like any decent Russian boy, he joked, "Now you have to marry me, or the stain will haunt us both." I laughed then, and that laugh sealed my fate. Our courtship was a blur of stolen moments. Long walks along the Arba, sharing blini from street vendors, whispering promises under the golden domes of St. Basil's Cathedral. He was ambitious, talking of building a life where we wouldn't have to worry like our parents did during the tough post-Soviet years. "Elena," he would say, pulling me close in the tiny dorm room, "we will have everything. A dacha in the countryside, children who will never know hunger." I believed him. When he proposed on a snowy New Year's Eve, fireworks lighting up the Red Square, I said yes without hesitation. My babushka warned me, love is like vodka, warm at first, but it burns if you drink too much. But I was young and in love. We married in a small ceremony at a registry office, followed by a feast with family and friends. My parents came from the village, bringing jars of homemade preserves and stories of old Russia. Dmitri's family, from a more urban background in St. Petersburg, eyed us with polite distance. But none of that mattered. We moved into a cramped apartment in the outskirts of Moscow, where the winters howled through the cracks in the windows. I worked as a tutor while finishing my degree, and Dmitri climbed the corporate ladder in a logistics firm. Those early years were hard, but filled with hope. We had our daughter, little Sophia, in 2012. She was born during a brutal blizzard, and Dmitri held my hand through the night, whispering encouragement as the midwives bustled around us. "You are my strength, Lenachka," he said, using the affectionate diminutive that always melted me. For a while, we were happy. Sophia's laughter filled our home. We took her to Gorky Park in summers, feeding ducks by the pond, and in winters, we bundled her up for sleigh rides. Dmitri worked late, but he always brought home small gifts, a chocolate from Belgium, a scarf from Turkey. I cooked borscht and pelmeni on weekends, the kitchen warm with the smell of dill and garlic. But slowly, cracks appeared. As his career soared, he changed. Promotions meant more dinners with clients, more trips to Sochi or Vladivostok. I became the one holding everything together. The home, Sophia's school, my aging parents' needs back in the village. The first real fight came when Sophia was 5. Dmitri missed her birthday because of a crucial meeting in Novosibirsk. I had baked a cake with her favorite strawberries, invited neighbors' children, and waited until the candles dripped wax onto the tablecloth. When he finally called, slurring slightly from celebration drinks, he laughed it off. "Business, Elena. This is how we build our future." I cried that night alone, staring at the peeling wallpaper in our living room, wondering when our future became his. Years blurred. Dimitri's success brought a bigger apartment in a better district, with views of the glittering city lights. But it also brought distance. He criticized my clothes, my simple tastes. "You look like a village girl still," he would say, not unkindly at first, but with growing impatience. I tried to adapt, taking courses in modern design, but my heart remained with books and teaching. Sophia grew into a bright, sensitive girl who adored her father but sensed the tension. "Papa works hard for us," she would say, defending him even as I tucked her into bed. Then came the rumors. A colleague's wife whispered at a company party that Dmitri had been seen with his young assistant, Olga, at a restaurant in Tverskaya Street. I confronted him. He denied it, slamming the door so hard the icons on our shelf rattled. "Jealousy doesn't suit you, Elena, after all I've done." But the late nights increased. Our intimacy faded like the last leaves of autumn. I poured my love into Sophia, teaching her Pushkin's poems, taking her to the Bolshoi for her first ballet. She had my dark hair and his bright eyes, a painful reminder. The breaking point came last winter. I discovered the messages on his phone while he slept. Not just flirtations, but plans. Trips disguised as business. Promises to Olga of a life together once he was free. My hands shook as I read them in the dim light of our bedroom, the snow falling silently outside. I didn't scream. I simply put the phone back and lay awake until dawn, the weight of 15 years crushing my chest. In the morning, I told him I wanted a divorce. He laughed at first. "You, without me, you'll be nothing, Elena." A single mother in Moscow, scraping by on tutoring fees. The proceedings dragged through the icy months. Lawyers, paperwork, the endless bureaucracy of Russian business. I sold my grandmother's gold earrings to pay what he got. Dmitri fought every step, demanding custody arrangements that would keep Sophia with him most of the time, citing my emotional instability. His lawyer painted me as unstable, clinging to provided generously for the family. Mrs. Petrova's chance fell down. She refuses to acknowledge the opportunity. Dmitri leaned forward, his eyes moving mine. He said directly, more important. "You know you can't survive this. Come home, and don't forget this conversation. You're so peaceful. Don't tell me tricks or false concern. But it's smart to How could the man I once loved reduce me to this? I stood slowly, my legs unsteady. "Your Honor," I said, my voice quieter than I wanted. "I have something to submit. A letter I wrote, explaining everything." Judge Volkov raised an eyebrow. "Proceed, Mrs. Petrova." My lawyer handed it over. It was a thick envelope, pages I had written over many sleepless nights, my handwriting neat despite the tears that had stained some lines. Dmitri chuckled audibly. "What is this story?" "Elena, always with the dramatic stories." "Judge, she's been reading too many novels." The judge silenced him with a look and began to read aloud, her voice steady at first. "Dear Judge Volkov, my name is I married Dmitri television honoring our grandfathers who fought the Great Patriotic War, he was with another woman. I know this not from gossip, but from evidence I gathered quietly. Hotel receipts, messages, bank transfers to accounts not ours. I stayed for Sophia, for the vows we took before God and family. But love cannot survive on one side alone. Dmitri mocked my efforts, called me provincial, threatened to take Sophia away if I left. He said I was weak, that without him I would return to the village like a failure. Your Honor, I am not weak. I have worked as a tutor for dozens of children, helping them love Russian literature as I did. I have volunteered at the orphanage near our district, reading stories to those without parents. I have saved every kopeck, learned to repair our old Lada car myself when Dmitri forgot us during his travels. This letter is not just words. It contains copies of everything. Photographs, statements from friends who saw the changes, medical records from the times his anger left bruises I hid under walls. I never reported them, fearing for Sophia's stability, but I documented them. For this day, Dmitri believes this hearing is his victory. He mocks me now, as he always has, but I stand here not as the village girl he married, but as a woman who has endured. I ask only for fairness, for custody shared equally, for financial support so Sophia can continue her studies in music, which she loves more than me, and for the truth to be known. Respectfully, Elena Petrovna. The courtroom was deathly silent as Judge Volkov continued reading the attached evidence. Page after page, Dmitri's face drained of color, his smirk vanished, replaced by fury and then pain. This is lies, he burst out. Fabrications. Your Honor, she is unstable. The judge slammed her gavel. Silence, Mr. Petrov. This evidence is compelling. The court will review it thoroughly. My heart soared even as tears streamed down my face. I thought of the nights I had written that letter, Sophia asleep in the next room, the samovar whistling softly on the stove. I had poured my soul into it, not for revenge, but for justice, for the girl who dreamed by the river, for the mother who wanted her daughter to grow up strong and free. The hearing extended into the afternoon. Lawyers argued, but the letter had shifted everything. Dmitri's team faltered under the weight of the documents. I remembered more as I sat there. The time he came home drunk after a deal in Ekaterinburg, accusing me of flirting with a neighbor, his grip too tight on my arm. The way he belittled my father's stories of the war, saying the old man was living in the past, but also the tender moments I had clung to, dancing in our kitchen to old Soviet songs, his hand on my pregnant belly, promising the world. When Judge Volkov finally recessed for deliberation, I stepped outside into the pale Moscow sunlight. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of blooming lilacs from nearby parks. Dmitri followed me, his earlier confidence shattered. Elena, he said, his voice low and urgent, no longer mocking. How could you? After everything, we built this life together. I turned to him, the wind tugging at my scarf. We built it, Dmitri, but you tore it down. I loved you with all my Russian heart, stubborn and deep like the tiger. But love requires respect, not ridicule. You mocked my tears, my dreams. Now, the judge has read the truth in my character. He reached for my hand, but I pulled away. Sophia needs us both. Don't make this argument. Inside, as the hearing resumed, the judge delivered her verdict. Custody will be shared, with primary residence removed during the school. Alimony and child support substantially reduced. Dmitri's assets will be divided fairly, acknowledging her contributions. Mrs. Petrova has demonstrated remarkable resilience, she said. The court recognizes the sacrifices done by her. Dmitri said so. I felt no triumph, only a profound sadness. As we left the courthouse, Sophia waited with my sister in a nearby cafe. She ran to me, her small arms wrapping around my waist. Mama, is it over? Yes, my little dove, I whispered, kissing her forehead. We will be okay. That evening, back in our apartment, soon to be mine, I lit a candle before the icon of St. Olga, patron of widows and mothers. The city lights twinkled outside, the Kremlin stars shining in the distance. I thought of the long road ahead, teaching more students, perhaps writing that book of village stories I had always dreamed of. Dmitri had underestimated me, as many do with quiet women who carry the weight of families on their shoulders. But the story was not just a pain. In the months that followed, I found strength in unexpected places. Friends from university rallied, bringing casseroles and advice. Sophia thrived in her music lessons, her piano playing filling the rooms with melodies that spoke of home. I took her to the village that summer, where my parents embraced us under the birch trees. "You did well, daughter," my father said, his voice gruff with emotion. "Our blood is strong, like the bone." Dmitri tried reconciliation at first, sending flowers and messages, but I saw through them. The mocking man in the courtroom had revealed his true self. I forgave him, not for his sake, but for mine and Sophia's. Forgiveness in Russia is not weakness. It is the quiet power that allows one to move forward, like the spring thaw melting the ice. Years later, Sophia would ask about the hearing. I would tell her parts of it, teaching her that words, written from the heart, can be mightier than any courtroom drama. "Your father and I loved each other once," I would say, "and from that love came you, the brightest star in our sky." As I sit now, years removed, watching the sunset over Moscow from my balcony, the letter remains a symbol in my mind, not of bitterness, but of courage. The girl from the village had found her voice in the heart of the Federation. Dimitri's mockery had been the spark that ignited my resolve. In the end, the judge's reading of those pages didn't just decide a divorce, it affirmed a life of freedom. The winters still come harsh, but I face them with a warm heart. My story, like so many Russian tales, is one of endurance, love's complexities, and the triumph of quiet strength. And in the quiet moments, when Sophia plays her piano and the samovar steams, I know I made the right choice. For us, for the future we would build without shadows. The emotional weight of that day lingers, but it no longer defines me. I am Elena, mother, teacher, survivor, and in the vast tapestry of Russia, from the frozen steppes to the bustling streets of Moscow, women like me have always risen, carrying the legacy of our grandmothers who survived the wars and hardships. Dimitri's words in that courtroom were meant to break me, but instead, they freed me. As spring turned to summer, I walked Sophia to school each day, passing the spots where Dmitri and I once strolled hand in hand. The memories brought tears sometimes, but also smiles. Love's embers don't die easily in the Russian soul, yet new fires can be kindled, friendships deepen, and passions persist. I joined a women's literature circle where we discussed Akhmatova and Staniva, voices that echoed my own silent pains. One evening, as golden light bathed the city, I received a message from Dmitri, not demanding, but humble. "I was wrong, Elena. I see that now." I didn't reply immediately. Some wounds need time, like the healing of the earth after a long winter. But I prayed for him too, in the Orthodox tradition of my ancestors. Sophia grew taller, her laughter alone. She asked about Papa often, and we arranged visits where he tried, in his way, to be present. The mockery was gone, replaced by a cautious respect. Perhaps the letter had pierced his armor too. In the end, the divorce hearing was not an ending, but a beginning. A chapter closed with drama and tears, but the book of my life continued, page by page, in the language of resilience and hope. Under the Russian skies, vast and unforgiving and beautiful, I found my strength. And that, more than any ruin, was the true victory. The words I wrote in that letter had traveled from my trembling hand to the judge's desk, changing the course of our lives. They carried the scent of my village home, the warmth of family kitchens, the depth of maternal love. Dmitri had laughed at them in the moment, but their power echoed long after. As I reflect on it all, the emotional journey, from young bride to broken wife to empowered woman, feels like an epic tale worthy of the great Russian novelists, full of passion, conflict, and ultimately, redemption. I remember the exact moment the judge finished reading. The silence hung heavy, like fog over the Neva in St. Petersburg. Dimitri's face, once so familiar and dear, twisted in disbelief. His lawyer shuffled papers frantically. My heart, which had been a storm of fear and sorrow, began to calm. It was as if the letter itself breathed life back into me, validating every sacrifice, every hidden tear. Outside the courthouse, the world continued its rhythm. Pedestrians hurrying to the metro, vendors selling pierogi, the distant chime of church bells. Life in Russia pulses on, regardless of personal tempests. I I gathered my things and walked out with my head high. The first time in years I felt truly seen. That night, as I held Sophia close, telling her a bedtime story of brave princesses and wise bears with hope, I whispered a promise. We will create our own happiness, my darling. And we did. Through piano recitals where she shone, through quiet evenings reading together, through trips to the dacha where we planted vegetables and watched sunsets. Dimitri's path diverged. He remarried eventually, but reports from mutual acquaintances spoke of lingering regrets. I wished him well, for the sake of the man he once was. Our shared history deserved at least that grace. The story of our divorce hearing became a legend in my small circle. How the mocked wife turned the tables not with anger, but with truth. It inspired other women in similar situations to document their journeys, the sweet and silent. In a country rich with history and strong women, from Catherine the Great to the heroines of the Second World War, I added my modest thread to the fabric. Years have passed, and now Sophia is a young woman herself, studying at the same university where her parents met. She knows the full story, told gently over cups of tea. "Mama, you are my hero," she said once, and those words healed more than any courtroom could. Looking back, the dramatic irony of that day, the husband's mockery followed by the judge's solemn plea, remains etched in my memory. It taught me that vulnerability, when channeled into courage, becomes unbreakable. The letter was my voice when I thought I had no left. It carried the weight of love lost, battles fought in silence, and the unyielding spirit of a Russian mother. In the quiet of my Moscow apartment, with the city humming below, I pen these reflections not for bitterness, but for closure. The story ends not in divorce, but in renewal. A new chapter